Hello, my name is Bobby Thompson. I'm the Director of DEIB Operations and Engagement within the DEIB office in Cal Athletics. Today, we're joined with our inaugural Associate Athletic Director of DEIB, Dr. Tyron Douglas. Welcome, sir.
Hey, how are you, Bobby Thompson?
I'm doing well.
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me and connecting. I feel like in true form, I need to just say yee.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
That's Bobby, it's been a warm welcome to the area, and that's an Oakland call, right? To be able to represent the area. So honored to be in this space and to share with you.
Appreciate you. I mean, here we are, right? It's December 20th, and we have an opportunity to look at a year in review, to look at what 2021 has been about, and it's been a wild ride in many good ways, right? We've learned many things. We've met a lot of people, key campus and community relationships that have allowed us to really accelerate DEIB. And so when we really just kick it back to, if you will, the beginning, right? Your beginnings. Just walk us through just what was that like in the first week. Actually, there was a pretty monumental opportunity that we were able to leverage. And so just talk to the people a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, when folks ask me about like my experience here, one of the first things I say is that like it was really like, a helicopter, right? It was like, sometimes you hit the ground running and you say you need a runway. For me, it was a helicopter. It was like, let's get up and get going and maybe get some people on the helicopter to take them to a runway so we could take off, right? But, for me, that metaphor, really sort of, I think, encapsulates the way that I had to approach things. I started January 1st. My family, we moved here in mid-December. In fact, just passed a year anniversary of that move, and just a lot of moving parts as relates to that. And so really, I was obviously already thinking about the job before I started officially on January 1st. And then, just in a practical sort of date-wise thought, January 6th, you had, the insurrection at the Capitol. And, I remember sitting on my couch because I was working, but I was working from home. And I just remember thinking, we need to make a statement, right? Like that was like one of the first things that I did. And, I think our statement was probably out there before most, in that I just felt like it was important as a marker of my presence in our office to be clear that we're going to be decisive, we're going to lead, we're going to speak out, we're going to be intentional about, using our platform, to advocate, right? And to make sure our student athletes, our staff and coaches know that we care, that we hear, that we see them. And so I was excited to partner with our DCAB leaders. I remember, sending back and forth with Herb Benison and Jim Knowlton, our athletic director. I mean, so we knocked it out. It was like, I remember feeling that moment like, ooh, okay, we about to do some work, right? And so from there, we've just continued to accelerate.
6 days in.
Yeah.
And what's wild about it as well is I remember that moment.
Yeah.
We were all working from home or studying from home. And that was the first or second day during the Black Student Athlete Summit that for the first time was hosted virtually. And we had an opportunity to discuss it within the conference, the context of the conference, and also each day of that Black Student Athlete Summit experience. Our Cal Athletics staff, coaches, and student athletes had an opportunity at the end of each day to come together virtually and really just unpack and dissect just what we were learning at the conference, but also what we're all simultaneously seeing on TV. And I know you got to take part in that. And so, I mean, that was just a very fast introduction into your tenure here at Cal Athletics. And even going beyond that, then we get ready for February, which becomes Black History Month. And that's, I mean, you started on the 1st, but as you're onboarding, I mean, this is literally something we began planning, obviously, in days of January. And what we like to talk about our Heritage Months, it's not the end all be all, but what have been some of your favorite elements or aspects about how we've approached Heritage Month celebrations? Yeah,
I love you sharing that. I appreciate that. That January lead up window, obviously you had MLK Day as well. And for us, it was more than just, for every holiday, for every Heritage Month, it's more than just about that day, right? And so, I've been most excited about our process. When you have, people from our communications team, folks from various units in our department coming together to literally think about and to hear and to center the voices of members of that community, to hear from them, what should we be doing? What should we be thinking about during this Heritage Month? Like it's educative. So it's more than just a tweet or a graphic or a video or a panel or a DIB playbook. That's one of our professional development sessions that we have for our department. It's the process of coming together and wrestling and listening, and growing with individuals who get to help to lead our department in ways that are vital during those Heritage Months and beyond them. That's
right.
for me. It's it's not just about the heritage. Like some people get excited about the Heritage Months, and we've had a lot of firsts.
Yeah.
But for me, the real power is like the acceleration to and through and after the Heritage Month,
right.
where it's like we're never the same, you know. So I celebrate our process and our team, many of whom you're watching. Thank you, you know, for your role and how you've helped us to grow. You know, we've had like a whole, I mean, a document that like, you know, the folks from communications and the video staff and like just social media folks are like everyone's chipping in. You know, Jonathan Oakins writing our features and leading. I mean, just folks who have stepped up in ways that are critical and help this work to really go with authenticity.
Absolutely. And one thing you mentioned actually is highlighting the different leadership roles from different people. And one thing that makes me think about is some of the we really like to underscore diversity of blank.
Yeah.
And diversity of function has been so key. And so
Huge.
Can you speak to a little bit, like from a Latinx Heritage Month specifically, just some of the people and communities we've been able to really tap into?
Yeah, you know, across our Heritage Month efforts, and I know we probably would get to some of the others when we talk about, you know, just obviously Black History Month in February, right? You had our Women's History Month in March,
That's right.
You know, just all throughout the year. One of the things that's vital, sometimes when we think about diversity, you know, we don't think about like the diversity within organizations, the diversity within teams, right? The diversity of the folks who help an organization to go. So I'm excited even in 2022, when I think about what we're doing, you know, reflect on this year, what's been birthed has been a real sensitivity to the diversity of people and ways that folks help to make things happen in our department. So you see on a game day, you know, right? You're excited, but you don't know that there are hundreds of people behind the scenes who may never make the catch or never make the shot. You may never see them on the jumbotron, but they're doing important and incredible things to make the organization go. And that's some of the things that we've been able to highlight. It's the diversity of function, leadership, and positionality. You know, I think about Latinx Heritage Month, you mentioned that. One of my highlights was, you know, people like Martin, right?
That's right.
Some of our guys, you know, we be talking about, you know, they came into the office and it's just, it was so powerful. I mean, we now say vamos osos. And that's like a thing in our department, which means go Bears in Spanish, right?
That's right.
And to see Wilder, you know, come into office and be a part of our preparation processes, you know, and to hear their lenses and their experiences and the excitement that they had, you know, as they participated in our all staff meetings and let out, you know, as they shared with our leaders, our senior leaders in our department, right? So it's those types of touch points that, you know, sometimes it's difficult to even have metrics to really quantify that. So when I hear Wilder, you know, or call out to us, right? You know, he walks by the office and he says, "Vamos also," and you can feel it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for us, it's those types of things that, you know, for me, for us in our office, you know, I think really lets us know that it's resonating with people in a powerful, powerful way.
That's right. Yeah. And before we leave Heritage Month, also just a huge shout out to Cal Athletics in terms of so many firsts that we had. You know, just to pick up where essentially you left off, you touched on Black History Month in February, Women's History Month in March.
Yeah.
We as a department have officially celebrated and acknowledged those before, right? But for the first time to be able to celebrate Asian American Pacific Islander or AAPI Heritage Month. To learn about even LGBTQ plus History Month, which is different than Pride Month, right? And to honor that, and we'll dive into that in a bit. And also Latinx Heritage Month for the first time, Indigenous Heritage Month for the first time. And so in terms of the first, right? Like, and you're our first, you're our inaugural associate AD, right? What is the significance of an organization taking on something of that magnitude?
I think the power of a first is that there was this excitement and gratitude that it was happening, partnered with an acknowledgement and the reality that it should have happened previously, right? And I think that's the power of when we think about doing justice in our department, you know, really saying, you know, this work and what things that we're doing, we're grateful, we're excited, but we're also doing it with the knowledge that, you know, these are things that have long been needed. And so there's a humility that I think we seek to lead with in Cal Athletics, and in particular our office, you know, and that is, you know, acknowledging the good things and the efforts that are being made, while also being willing to say tangibly or in different ways, hey, that could have been different. I'm sorry, or man, I wish I could have included you, or I'm sorry that, or so being able to, as an institution, it's not just about when we talk about diversity, you're talking about difference. When you're talking about equity, you're talking about fairness, right? When you're talking about inclusion, having a place, but when you talk about belonging and that place being secure, and then when you talk about justice as well, which is another piece of where this field is, there has to be a willingness to say, hey, there were things that should have been better, and they should have been made better sooner. And I think people can resonate with that, right? That's part of the healing process.
For sure.
For you to say, we could have done better. We're seeking to do better now. And we need you as we go forward, but we haven't forgotten the past, and we're going to try to make it right as best we can.
100%. And a huge part of that is learning from others. We don't know everything.
Absolutely.
About, we can't, just any one individual doesn't know every single thing.
Yeah.
And so bringing in diverse voices and perspectives and insights, which leads me to our Belong blogs, right? Like, this was your brainchild. You know what I mean? And so it's like literally for every week, for literally since going back to January, we've had some member of our community, whether student athlete, staff, coach, campus partner, community partner, contribute as a Belong blog author, right? To tell their story, to really kind of ruffle some feathers in some areas of maybe things that we've never thought about or considered as a department, as a university, as a people, right? And so just like, talk to us about Belong blogs.
So I like to say I'm a bit of a wordsmith. I was an English major. I was a middle school, high school English teacher, professor of education, and there were a couple of words that really sort of resonated with me. I've been in this DEIB space for a while, right? I mean, I'm trained to be a DEIB leader, like on campus, but the sports space was really sort of something that grabbed me. And when I saw this job opportunity, to see even the belonging in the title spoke to me. So that word belong, has been something that I probably have been more sensitive to in the last 12 months than I ever have in my life. And so for me, when I looked at the word belong, and I saw belong in that thing, I hadn't seen it before, what I mean? So there's something about space and environment and context that brings something out of you. Like right now, this moment, like this is, we've prepared for this conversation that we plan to have it, but there are some things that I'm going to say because I'm in your presence.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And so the belonging, the blog, the flourishing of that happened in part because of intentionality around really thinking about what does it mean to belong? And then what does it also mean to accelerate DEIB? That word came to me, a colleague, she said to me, listen, this season, I believe that she just said, you need to accelerate. When she said it, I felt it. I'm like, ooh. And so even for our like hashtag accelerate DEIB, like those things have come out of real organic, spatialized moments where you feel the space, where when you're 10 toes down, as we say, right? And that's why for me, in the middle of a global pandemic, right, to move from Columbia, Missouri, where the cost of living is a lot less expensive, and moving my family in the middle of the time, it's just a lot to move from a faculty position there as a tenured faculty member to here as a full-time administrator. Like, why do you do that? Why would you physically move? Because you got to feel the space. You can't really belong or help folks to belong if you haven't really felt the space. And so that's what happened with the Belong blogs. I thought it was important to write things down, right? To concretize it and to create space for people's voices to be heard in ways that sometimes we don't always get a chance to hear. And so, that was the impetus.
Concretize.
Yeah.
I'm with that. That's a word I've never even heard that one before.
You gotta write it down. You know what I'm saying? You gotta write it down. Like, speaking is powerful. And for many people of color, especially like, let's say Black folks in particular, we're very much like the oral tradition is real. Like, but sometimes you also got to write some things down, like to be able to, it's just a different level of accountability, not just for us as relates to our knowing, but for those who need to read it and for those whose sort of primary filters through which they receive what is supposedly truth. Sometimes for them, writing is more important. And so to create a space for people to write in our department is valuable. I'm still an educator. I'm still a professor. I'm always going to be a teacher, right? And so it was a space for me to be able to advocate and to be able to create a space for my colleagues and student athletes to be heard.
I love it. As somebody who I have been able to contribute as an author, and I've had many conversations with our colleagues who just in inviting and recruiting others to be authors as well. And when I tell you just how much their face lights up and how much you can feel their energy shift and change when they talk about their process and experience of writing about or writing their belong, because oftentimes it's an explorative journey for themselves in that moment. and where they're thinking about things and aspects of their identity that they've never really thought about before. So, just as a contributing author, thank you for creating that opportunity and that resource for us.
And thank you for accepting it. And thank you to each person who's also been willing to be a part of it, right? Because I think sometimes to be asked, I think it's also like people feel that, like, wow, yeah, thank you. You know what I mean? So thank you to each person that has been a part of that. We look forward to receiving your Belong blogs in 2022 and beyond.
You spoke about the value and the importance and significance of space. Today, and also in many of our conversations and days leading up to this. And when I think about where our DEIB office sits, I think of that often, right? And I think about just the passerbys, whether it's student athletes, if it's staff, if it's coaches, if it's children of campus partners who are coming to our, right? When I think about just the value, the diverse value that our location has provided for other people, right? And then we think about someone like a student athlete who had belongings taken, right? Who had some of her belongings taken and was still able to tap into a strong sense of belonging. And you also add into alums who have been able to cross our hallways and us have almost intervention and powerful intervention moments and conversations that have led to real life relationships and brotherhood. Talk to us a little bit more about our office being 10 toes down in the location of it and the value that comes with that.
Yeah, if walls could talk, if walls could talk, like there's some moments that we've had as a unit that if people saw that and just could sense and feel just the power of those moments, I mean, it's life-changing stuff. And that's not like hyperbole or not because I've been involved in it. Like, frankly, I mean, the two moments that come to my mind, you were integral, an integral part of them. One in particular, you mentioned a student athlete having, her belongings taken on campus and then, trying to figure out what she was going to do in that moment.
Hi, I'm Annabelle Tiller, a freshman on Cal's track and field team. And over the summer, I decided to hop on a Zoom call that was held by the DEIBJ office about mental health, and it offered resources and really just promoted this new organization. And I'm really passionate about mental health, so I joined just to gain new insight and see what Berkeley had to offer since I'd be coming that fall. And I actually ended up meeting my roommate on that call, and that has really impacted our relationship as teammates and friends. And over the call, I was just amazed at the energy and enthusiasm both Dr. Ty Douglas and Bobby Thompson, as well as the other leaders, had on the call. And it made me really excited to come to campus and also made me feel really supportive, especially since there's such stigma around mental health. And with this, when I was presented with a challenge on campus when my belongings were stolen, I recalled just the great experience I had over the call, and I knew that I could come to the DEIBJ office for help.
The power of that was layers, right? So this was a student athlete who, as a freshman, jumped on a call during the summer that was facilitated through our collaboration with Black Lives After College, some of our alums. Thank you to our alums who've been a part of that group, in particular, Jason Gann and Renee Wright, and with Ryan Cobb, helped to put together a mental health awareness session to help our student athletes in transition during the summer. And she jumped on even before she had started here. Met her roommate on the call. So that's a connection when you talk about belonging.
That's right.
And it was in that conversation that she shared, and maybe you'll get a chance to see some of the B-roll, maybe she say it for herself. She knew in her moment of crisis that she had a place that she could go, right? So it was two levels. I believe that she got some strategies during that summer session to deal with a traumatic moment, and she had a physical space to go to be supported. And she found you in that moment, right? She saw you, and you poured into her, you loved on her, and she was battled for it. And at the end of the semester in December, as she was finishing up her exam, she was glowing. So that's a huge one. So I want to give you your flowers. Thank you for your presence in that moment in the office that day to be able to be what she needed. And it was a collaboration of many different other factors, but that was huge. And then, of course, the second one that comes to mind, we had an alum who came to campus and visited, and frankly, in the past, hadn't quite felt like he belonged, right? And that intervention was life-changing. I can't wait that we can really tell the full story of the future.
That's right.
But I mean, just that was, it was a 3 hour at least, time on a Friday evening.
On Friday night.
right? I'm talking about it was dark. You know what I mean? And the connection and the healing. There have been tears shed in our office of just burdens laid down and reconnections.
Ugly cries.
You know what I mean? That's with the shaky bottom jaw. You know what I mean? And then the joy after that, where people feel free and realize, no, this campus is for me. Not just the Cal portion of it, but I belong to UC Berkeley. I'm a part of the self. You know what I mean? Those types of conversations. That young man said, he had never described himself having gone to UC Berkeley. He always said he went to Cal. But now he says, no, I'm connected to both.
That's right.
And so it's those types of moments, right? And not just because of the sport that a person plays or their notoriety, because the reality is that, sometimes people are more excited about people when they seem to be more important or the lights are on them. This person felt the love in one of the person's darkest moments. And he's so much better for it now. And I can't wait for the world to hear what he has to share with the world in this season of his life.
And what's interesting, there's one more connection, actually. I can't wait until those two individuals, the current student athlete who we spoke on and that alum meet. I want them to meet because actually when she came to the office, I was supposed to be out the door to go see the alum.
Wow.
Right. And honestly, the alum knows who we're talking about. I was late to get to the airport. Because of being present, right? And so the layers of that, and so just thank you for just your grace to allow us to be able to impact other people. But that was something that really just pulls on my heart as well. Right? Is just that interconnectedness as well.
Well, so when people even seek to hire for an office like ours, I guess maybe this falls under other duties as assigned, but how we do this work is very contextual. So there's nothing that says specifically, go and show up at the airport and be present when a student athlete or an alum returns home and they just need to see someone that they know. But that's what that's what we were seeking to do, right? So, a lot of people do this work differently. I've been grateful. We started the conversation off sort of asking about how it started. For me, I'm a measure twice, cut once guy, right? But I also know sometimes, there are things you got to get done. So it's that combination of sort of urgency and like get it done with also long-term planning. So over this last year, as I look at the course of the year, we've done some amazing things. I'm grateful for the connections with campus leaders and the opportunity to influence who came to speak for Juneteenth. And to, the things that we've done have been significant. The assessments, the being a part of the California Race Assessment to really get data, to be a part of an assessment through the Pac-12 with the ISSJ Institute that's run by Dr. Richard Lapchick to get data. So we've been doing the work of the data and the metrics and the planning, but we've also been doing the work of the day-to-day with people and programming that was needed, when it was needed, and that was urgent. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm looking forward to how we can take what we've experienced in 2021 and leverage it for what is to come in 2022. It's been a really, really, really beautiful fresh year.
Man, it has, and it's our minds are just going all over the place in terms, but in this very chronological order of just what has transpired. One thing I don't want to go missed is when I say when you see Berkeley.
When you see Berkeley, when you see Berkeley, when you see Berkeley, let's go.
UC Cal.
Talk to us.
Yeah, that came out of a DEIB conversation with senior leadership. She's so low key, but one of the people that, if you know me, when I come to this office, I touch base with Jane Jackson. She's a executive assistant to our athletic director, and just a key leader on our team. Jim is a great leader, grateful to work with him, and I know why he also, like me, uses Jane as a barometer for what's needed or what's happening in the department. And so, as a result of a conversation at DCAB, our leadership meeting, her and Gordon Bain and myself, we were reflecting on just the power of, the two brands, right? The UC Berkeley and the Cal brand, but we're one family. And Jane was rehearsing an advert that has some context or similar language. And she said, well, when you see Berkeley, and she said, well, UC Cal. And I said, Jane, say it again, but give it a little more swag. And she said, well, what? She said, the ad says, well, what do you see? She said, well, well, when you see Berkeley, you see Cal. I said, Jane, no. I can, I've got a little music background too, so I can feel it. I'm saying, Jane, now say it one more time, but now say, when you see Berkeley, you see Cal. And from there, it's grown to, something that we're really thinking about. How do we continue to lead a narrative of the power of athletics and academics as one, and athletics as a legitimate academic discipline, right? As a professor, as a scholar, as someone who was an athlete, as well as obviously someone who's been, an academic in traditional ways. I've seen disconnects nationally, internationally, and I'm really excited about our department and our opportunity as the #1 public university, according to many metrics, to lead a narrative that lets folks know that the same brilliance that's needed to win a Nobel Prize in physics is the same brilliance that our student athletes use on the court, field, sand, pool, wherever they do their thing. And so I'm excited about what's to come. It's been a powerful first 12 months. I really want to say thank you to every single person that's helped to make this happen. Every single person that's helped to do the work before I came here. Right? I came because I sensed that we were trying to do this work seriously, and it's been great to move forward in earnest together.
Well, thank you. I mean, just the insights, the energy. That's one of the main things people will refer to of a Dr. Douglas is not just the brilliance, not just the work ethic, but the energy that you bring, that you light up a room, right? And your smile lights up a room. We appreciate you. Yeah. We're actually in one of the spaces where you communicate and give us some of our DEIBJ juice.
You got that juice.
You give us the juice. And so it's been a pleasure. It's a pleasure to call you my supervisor. It's a pleasure to roll my sleeves up and really just attack the day each and every day as we accelerate DEIB together to cultivate long-lasting, meaningful relationships with people who need it, right? And so, and for communities who need it. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you for adding and giving the juice to this video that we needed. And as we say beyond this, we just want to continue to accelerate DEIB and accelerate DEIBJ as well.
Yeah, and thank you. You're a part of this office. And you were part of this office before September. You were making things happen. And many things that have happened this year, I think it'd be important to note, happened in part because of ideas and things that you had shared. And so the opportunity to officially have you in our office in September, and we must give a shout out to Mia Carroll.
Oh, you beat me to it.
Come on. Ideator, accelerator, a student worker who is amazing. We have a great team, and we're enjoying doing the work together. So many different initiatives I could mention, I won't. But it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for your presence. So grateful for you and grateful that you got awarded an advisor award, which I think reflects your campus influence as well. So proud of you. Honored to work with you and serve with you.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Well,
Thank you.
As we say, vamos osos.
Vamos osos.
And go Bears.
And go Bears. We usually know how to say it in Greek too, so I'm going to work on that. But
That's
you know how to
That's
say it, right? Thank you for having us.
Proto papa.
Go Bears. All right, we're having a DEIB sighting moment with Ellie. Proto Papa.
Proto Papa.
Did I say that right?
Yes.
Come on.
Proto papa.
Yes.
Proto Papa.
I got the finger.
That was good.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, okay, so mine, let me get stronger. Say it one more time.
Proto Papa.
Proto Papa.
Okay, that was good.
No, you said better. Is it great? I went great. I don't want just better.
Great.
Proto Papa.
Yes, you gotta roll the R a bit.
What did I say earlier? Roll that R.
One more time.
Like Proto Papa.
Proto Papa.
That was way better.
But you're not fully satisfied. I'm not satisfied until you are. Okay, let's say it one more time. Proto. Vince, ladies and gentlemen.
Proto papa.
You're trying to show off.
You kind of stop in the middle, both of you, but it's Proto Papa.
Proto Papa.
Yes.
That was sweet.
Proto papa.
No. I think you might. Come on.
You had the cadence, but I didn't hear the roll on. I'm gonna be honest with you.